Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Irene's Treasure Tales. We all know how tough it can be to get by on a fixed income. You work hard your whole life, you do everything right, and somehow the money still doesn't stretch far enough. Meet Roy. He is 68 years old and lives in Fort Worth, Texas. For 40 years, Roy worked on the railroad as a freight inspector. He knows how to spot a properly packed train car, and he knows exactly what it looks like when someone is trying to hide a load. 3 years ago, Roy retired. Sadly, his wife June passed away from cancer just a year later. Roy was left alone in a quiet house. His pension paid for his groceries, but it wasn't enough to fix his leaking roof, pay for his new expensive heart pills, or buy a plane ticket to Houston to see his grandkids. That's a very sad story. I really feel sorry for a man, and I hope the story ends well for him. Desperate for a little extra cash, his neighbor Bal talked him into going to a local storage unit auction. Roy went just to look and ended up spending $120 on a unit that looked like a literal garbage dump, but he had absolutely no idea that a smelly industrial trash can sitting in the middle of that room was hiding a $58,000 secret that would fix his house, buy his medicine, and change his retirement forever. I am very excited what he will find in that storage unit to have that big amount of money. It was a warm Saturday morning in Texas. The auction lot was full of loud. Experienced guys driving big pickup trucks. Roy just stood quietly in the back. 40 years of railroad taught him to watch first and act second. When the manager opened unit number 14, the crowd took one look and laughed. Sitting right in the middle of the room was a huge industrial trash can on wheels. The plastic lid was bulging upward. All around it were cheap black garbage bags and cardboard boxes stacked in a messy pile. Somebody just rented a room for their trash, one of the buyers joked, and the whole crowd walked away. But Roy didn't walk away. His railroad eyes saw something else. The trash bags were tied in perfect, identical knots, and tucked in the back were two heavy metal cases that looked way too clean to be in a dump. Roy knew a fake mess when he saw one. The auctioneer asked for $120. Nobody spoke. Roy raised his hand. Sold. Roy came back the next morning with his neighbor Bal to help clean it out. They opened the door and Roy did a walk around. Sitting near the left wall were two big, clear 5-gallon plastic water jugs. Roy stepped up and went to kick one out of the way. Thud. It didn't move an inch. It was so heavy it actually hurt his steel-toed boot. Roy frowned. Water doesn't feel like solid rock. He grabbed his heavy-duty flashlight and shined a bright beam directly against the white plastic. Roy and Belle couldn't believe their eyes. In the yellow glow of the flashlight, they saw thousands of coins. The entire 5-gallon jug was filled to the brim with mixed coins. They were looking at over 100 pounds of solid metal. Roy stood up and took a deep breath. This wasn't a junk room. It really looks very unusual to find those jugs filled up with coins. What do you think, guys? Share in the comments your thoughts. Is it normal? People do that? I mean, do people collect coins in the jugs like that, like big ones? I mean, the small one might be. They moved past the heavy jugs to the shiny metal cases in the back. Roy popped the heavy latches on the first case. It wasn't tools, it was a perfectly organized collection of old gold and silver coins in hard plastic cases, along with a velvet bag full of luxury watches. Okay, so it's not just a coins, it also watches. Now it smells like some real money, you know? Just as Roy picked up a heavy gold watch, a dark shadow blocked the sunlight at the door. Roy and Belle froze. A tall, rough-looking man in a dirty tank top was leaning against their door frame. He wasn't the manager, he was one of those aggressive buyers from yesterday. "Looks like you old boys found some shiny stuff in the trash," the man said. His eyes locked on the open metal case. "Maybe I should take a closer look." "We don't need that." Roy's heart hammered in his chest. They were two older men alone in an empty hallway with the tens of thousands of dollars in gold sitting open on the floor, but Roy didn't back down. He stood up straight, looked the man dead in the eye, and used his deep, booming railroad voice. "The manager is bringing out paperwork down right now. I suggest you step back to your own unit." The man stared at Roy for 5 agonizing seconds. Finally, he smirked, spit on the concrete, and walked away. Roy let out a shaky breath and immediately locked the metal case. They needed to get out of there fast. But they couldn't leave without checking the main attraction, the bulging industrial trash can. Roy grabbed the lid, but it was fighting him. It had been pulled tight with thick plastic zip ties. He pulled his pocket knife and cut the thick plastic bands. Snap! The lid popped open. There was no garbage inside. Sitting under a fake layer of old newspapers were heavy canvas bank bags. Roy cut the first bag open. Rolls and rolls of silver coins spilled out. Silver dollars, half dollars, dimes dating back to the 1940s. Okay, that's the total coin storage unit disaster, I would say. So basically everything that is in there filled with coins. Is it like a coincidence or? Under the bags was a sealed envelope marked receipts. Roy opened it. Inside were old pawn shop slips and a rental receipt from the storage unit. The renter's name was blacked out so hard with the permanent marker that the pen had torn through the paper. Whoever built this room was trying to completely vanish. Roy didn't rush and he didn't hide. He did things the right way. He called the police non-emergency line, showed them the unit, and got an official report number to protect himself. A paper trail was always worth more than an excuse. Over the next week, Roy and Bell slowly moved the heavy jugs, the metal cases, and the silver from the trash can to a trusted, honest coin dealer in Fort Worth. The dealer tested everything single piece and wrote Roy an official check. After all the fees and taxes, Roy walked away with $58,000. That's it. That's the sum. Wow, I am really impressed. That's a lot of money. I mean, he can buy 100,000 of storage units and find more things in there. The very first thing Roy did was call a roofing company. The next week, he stood in his yard watching the crew put a brand new roof on his home. The house finally felt like his again, not just a problem waiting to happen. Second, he went to a pharmacy and bought a full year's supply of his heart medicine. He didn't have to count his pills anymore. And third, he packed a bag and drove straight to Houston. He spent 2 whole weeks hugging his grandkids. That's the sweetest part. Roy still drinks coffee on the porch with Belle, and Belle always jokes that he can never look at the plastic trash can the same way again. Roy just smiles. 40 years on the railroad taught him that the most valuable cargo is almost always disguised as something ordinary. That's the story. If this story made you smile or made you feeling impressed and curious, so please leave a comment, share some thoughts with us, and if you like the video, give me the thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, and see you next time. Bye.